Warning: the following podcast, which contains strong language and mature content, is unsuitable for children or for the faint of heart. The subject matter discussed will be frightening and graphic in nature. Listener discretion is advised.
When you wanna hear about the paranormal, you get the Spooked Girls. True crime that makes you hypothermal. With the three Spooked Girls, stabby snippets will give you dreams. Tara and Jessica will make you along with the Spooked Girls. Bring on the slaughter, we on that haunted ground. Spooked Girls. The three Spooked Girls.
Hey there, Spooksters, and welcome back to another episode here on Three Spooked Girls. My name is Jessica, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite gal pal, Tara.
Hey, Spooksters.
Today, we are going to be talking about another urban legend, but we are going back to England. Apparently, that's where I'm living in October, is the country of England. We're going to be talking about the Green Children of Woolpit. But before we do that, if you want to hang out with us on social media, you can do so by heading over to Facebook, Instagram, Threads, all the places on the internet that has an @ something something. We are there, and we are at Three Spooked Girls. Definitely follow us. It's where we post updates of things. It's where we post fun content. You want to just definitely follow along because then you'll know what's going on the pod.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you would like to interact with Tara and I or other like-minded Spooksters, head over to our Facebook group, Three Spooked Girls Official. It's fun. It's where we do lots of things. Tara and I are in the group. You can interact with us. You can say hi and wave at us, and we will wave back. I'm a little slower at waving back, but I will wave back eventually, especially if you @ me. Then I'm like, okay, this was brought to my attention. But we have really good mods and admins who point things out to me as well that are like, Jessica, go look at this. Someone's talking to you. And I'm like, I'm on it. So definitely check that out. It is Three Spooked Girls Official on Facebook. If you like to read, please join our book club. It is Spookster Literary Society. We read one book a month. For October, we're doing it a little differently. We are not shortening, we're actually making it a little longer because we are reading a book that is coming out in theaters in December. So we're really excited about it. We're going to be reading The Housemaid. And if you have not read Frida McFadden books, you should. They're fantastic. Mm-hmm. I read this book earlier this year and I was such a huge fan. And then when they were like, do you guys want to read this before the movie comes out? And I was like, yes, I would like to reread this book before the movie comes out. And I'm really excited because the movie is coming out in December and I get to see Tara in December. So
yay! We're going to try to go.
Definitely join the book club. If you like to read, we meet once a month. It's on the last Sunday of the month and we just hang out and talk about that book. And then we talk about other books. And yeah, it's fun. We also have a Patreon. If you didn't know, it is patreon.com/Three Spooked Girls, or hit the link tree in the notes, in the show notes. For little as $1, you get a bonus episode each month. And then after that, there are other tiers that have other things like $5 and up, get ad-free episodes the day before. So if you are all caught up and you want it day before, definitely check it out. We also have 6 years of content there. So if you are like, I want more Tara and Jessica and I don't know where to find it, our Patreon, that's where it's at. Also, if you want more Tara and Jessica and you're like, where can I get it? We have a second podcast. It's called The Social Seance Society. It is basically Tara and I's brainchild that just kind of lives on the internet and it's so happy. And it's right now in September, October, we have been doing a nostalgia lap, if you will. And we're talking about one of the things that kind of we bonded over as friends decades ago, which was Twilight, and we're kind of walking down memory lane. So if you want to hear our takes on that, us discuss funny memes, things like that, definitely check it out. They're pretty great. It is seasonal, so it's not quite as many episodes as Three Spooked Girls. Also, we only started in January, but it's still great and I love it. We have some interviews with some of our friends and just kind of different content over there that you may love. So definitely check it out. But with that, we're going to go ahead and dive into today's episode.
Yay!
Of the Green Children of Woolpit. I am really excited about this because I was like, at first I was like, what the fuck is this? Never heard of it. Who is it? What's happening? So picture it. We're going to go to England. We're going to specifically Suffolk, England, around the 12th century.
Okay.
The villagers of Woolpit are going about their medieval business, just, farming, running around with coconuts, clapping together, all the medieval stuff. And they're coming back from tending in the fields. They're also dodging a plague because it's medieval times and there's always something out to get them.
True.
And let's face it, they definitely weren't doing skincare routines, so they were weathering. And skin is very important throughout this episode. I just want everyone to pay attention to it. When suddenly, out of a wolf pit, which by the way, Woolpit is derived from wolf pit. I don't understand it, but okay.
Okay.
Two strange children appear, and they were strange for multiple reasons. The color of their skin, it was green.
Interesting. Okay.
Their language, unrecognizable. Their vibe that they were giving was a little bit too much Elphaba before Defying Gravity.
Oh, okay.
Just weird. So, before Broadway got her Green Girl, England in the Middle Ages had two of them. So, I don't know who's winning, but part of me thinks it would be Wicked because Glinda sings Popular, and that's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, we love Wicked.
Especially with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
Oh my God. Cannot wait. If you guys have not watched the trailer and you're into Wicked, please go watch the trailer. It was so good. So excited.
And much like the farmers in Wicked looking at Elphaba, they were trying to figure out, were these children fae, aliens, or just really picky eaters? And you're going to be like, what the fuck does that mean? And that is because these green children had a very specific appetite, and it's a side of legumes. So we'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be weird.
Very specific.
So the story begins not with a curse or a cauldron, but it's just two kids in the 12th century climbing out of a wolf pit. And when I Googled what wolf pit was, because I was like, what the fuck is a wolf pit? The Google AI gave me this answer. In medieval times, wolf pits were common traps, often conical holes in the ground used to capture wolves, specifically near farmlands. These pits were typically covered with branches and sometimes baited with carrion to lure the wolves in. They also could have military purposes, and they were known as trous de loup, which was the wolf hole. So it's a conical pit that had sharpened stakes at the bottom and used as a defense obstacle in front of places for fortification. The name of the village, Woolpit, is thought to derive from its past uses of these said traps. So you can imagine what it was like to be a humble farmer and you come back from a sweaty day of harvesting barley and whatnot. When you come home or you're walking back to town and you look into the wolf pit, because I'm sure everybody was like, what's in the fucking wolf pits? Like, is it a wolf? Is it a dumb goat? What is in the wolf pit? But instead, you see two tiny Shrek extras just crawling out of the hole, and they are babbling something you cannot understand, and nobody knows what they are. They're also wearing clothes with fabric you cannot recognize. It is foreign to you and anyone around.
Oh.
And their skin is green. And not like cute Kermit or Elphaba green, but like glow in the fucking dark. Somebody gave them too many glow sticks to eat for breakfast that day.
Oh, did they glow in the dark?
They did not.
Oh, sad.
But that's the vibe.
Okay. So like neon-y. Yeah, I got you. Wow.
So not necessarily like pretty emerald like Elphaba, but like, ooh, did you swim around in radioactive waste?
Can you imagine like seeing that? Even today, everyone would be like, what the fuck?
Right? Right. So naturally, the villagers were losing their collective medieval minds. They were like, what the fuck is happening?
Witches.
Right. But these kids, one boy, one girl, they came out of the pit. And as soon as the villagers were like, who are you? They started crying. They were so loud. They were screaming their lungs off, which rightfully so, because two children alone in a wolf pit that just crawled out and they have no clue what's going on. And you're like, hello, little child. And you're like, what the fuck? That's not a language I know. They started screaming. Well, one very nice knight by the name of Sir Richard de Callan scooped up them and took them home. But this is the guy that you question, like, he's the type of dude who would say in the medieval movie, be like, sure, I'll adopt the spooky forest babies and take them home and make them my children. What could go wrong? Lots of things. This is not Nell. There's lots of things. Anyway, continuing. So to add to this delightful, unhinged story, the kids refused to eat any food. They were like, here, have some bread. And the kids were like, fuck you, get this nasty shit away from me.
Yeet.
Pretty much.
I see them throwing it.
No bread. Meh. Then they were like, maybe they're carnivores. Here's some meat. They eated the meat too. Eat the meat.
You know what I'm picturing? They're in like some random house and they're sitting at the table and they're like putting these things in front of these kids and then they're just like chucking it into the fireplace behind them or something.
Pretty much like, fuck your meat. Get it away from me.
Now.
Cheese, unforgivable. They were like, no, thank you. We don't want cheese.
No to cheese. Come on.
No to cheese.
They should have just tried it. They would have loved it.
I know, right? So the villagers were like, what the fuck is wrong with these kids? So they were like, okay, we're going to go out and harvest some legumes. So they go out and they get beans and the kids get really fucking excited.
Aww.
And they see the beans. They didn't want them to cook them. They wanted to raw dog these beans.
Ew.
Right? So they grab the stalks and they start chewing on them. And they're like, doo-doo-doo. And then they realize it's not really edible. And then they start screaming until the villagers are like, hold on. See the little pod? Look, beans in the pod. And then the kids were like, ooh, beans. So they ate beans. They were like, I love beans. Beans are great. What is the Jolly Green Giant?
Oh, my brain went somewhere totally different. I'm like, so what? When they like are starting to fart because, you know, beans. Are they having like radioactive farts that are like little green or yellowy poofs?
Yeah, no, pretty much. They went feral for beans. They were bean junkies. They're not like coffee bean junkies like you and I are. They were just bean junkies.
Okay.
So they were like, okay, cool. But here's the really fun thing. So after a while, the villagers were like, you like beans? You want to revisit a carrot? And the kids were like, ooh, a carrot. And then it was just like they slowly introduced them to other foods. And the interesting thing, the kids stopped eating beans. They stopped being green.
Oh, good.
So I don't know if they were just eating green beans.
Okay.
So they were like, oh my God, they're not green anymore. Hallelujah. Because they were really excited about it. Because like, can you imagine being like, yeah, those kids are still green. Oh wait, they're not so green anymore. Never give them beans again. But this story is going to take a heartbreaking turn. The young boy was much weaker than his sister, and he ended up passing away before he was baptized. And the girl, however, she went on to thrive. She learns English. She's no longer green. She grows up. She apparently a hottie, and she gets married in the town of Lynn. And according to chroniclers, she was described as wanton, which basically means that if this was a medieval gossip circle, that would be code for she's living her best life and the monks clutched their pearls about it.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. She was sassy.
Okay, get it, girl.
Right? Good for Green Girl. I don't know Green Girl's name, but whatever. So eventually, because she learned English, she was finally be able to explain herself, and she dropped the bomb lore, right? Like she dropped a huge lore bomb on them. And it was said that she and her brother had come from a place called St. Martin's Land. No sun, just twilight. It was very dim. It was dusky, a permanent filter from Instagram, but like, think like Twilight.
Gloomy, yeah.
The gloomy one. She said that they were following their father's flocks when they wandered into a cavern and heard the sound of bells. And then poof, the next thing they knew, they were walking up in Woolpit, sunburned, disorientated, and very green.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. So what do we do with this information? Were they malnourished Flemish kids who got lost in the chaos of war? Were they fae changelings slipping through realms? Were they aliens trying Earth cuisine for the first time and deciding legumes were the superior choice? The chroniclers did not say. The chroniclers are important to this. We're going to talk about them in a little bit. But they just shrugged, wrote it down, and now we're like, centuries later, we're like, tell us the fucking details, people.
Right?
We need to know. So there are two main chroniclers or storytellers related to this myth, which is kind of a myth, but is kind of true story.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is William of Newbury. He chronicalizes it to be vaguely in the 12th century, whereas our other person is was named Ralph of Coggeshall, and he says it's specifically during the reign of King Stephen, which would be from 1135 to 1154. So both 12th century, but one narrowed it down a little bit more. And the things that we know about it is that it was in Woolpit and it was during harvest season because they were found by the busy harvesters. The things that have stayed throughout both stories is that there were two children, a boy and a girl. They both had green skin, but it was not that they had like pale, sickly skin, but it was distinctly green. Their fabric of their clothes and the cut of their clothes was very foreign and unfamiliar, and that the language they spoke was unknown to anyone in the region, and no one could understand them. In both stories, Richard de Callan of Wilkes was the knight who came and brought them to his house and took care of them, and that they would cry and refused food, but they just fucking loved beans. And apparently, like, they really loved beanstalks. I'm very confused by that. So we know that. We know that in both stories, again, the boy dies, but the girl grows up to live like a happy life. And that basically they came from a land that was perpetually twilight, which to me would mean that they came from like, you know, like the north.
Right.
So we're going to talk about the differences between the two stories, William and Ralph, because they are kind of like the conflicting voices. It was said that William was very like factual, like he didn't put any kind of emotion or storytelling into it. He just was kind of like, he was more of like a historian. Like he was like, this is what happened. But Ralph was much more like, there were church bells and this is what they heard and this is what was happening. It was very much more like story. So they definitely were like telling the same stories, but Ralph was definitely giving a lot more in the way of like providing a narrative that was fun to read. You can, by the way, still read them. I did not add it to here, but I did look up the actual story that William wrote because he wrote it in Latin because, you know, extra points for a historian who writes in Latin. So I found the Latin version and then I was like, ChatGPT, translate this. And ChatGPT tried her hardest, just worked her little bum off, but it wasn't great. So I was like, I'm not going to read the story.
Yeah.
It was not great. But it does make me happy that this is a story that they decided to tell because this was a very unique story. This could have very easily gone a different way. So people were like, why were they green? This is a big question. Obviously, I'm assuming that the beans had something to do with it. And I'm thinking that maybe they were just like living off of beans, particularly. And that's why they got excited when they saw them. But obviously, like malnutrition or iron deficiency anemia can cause people to go green, which would make sense if they were two children wandering around by themselves, not having a good diet. And they probably were like in poverty before that. I don't know exactly where this is, but like there were Flemish refugees that were displaced by war and they were kind of like wandering through this land. So some people think that these children were like refugees that got separated from their parents. And it would make sense that they might be malnourished due to this. Some people say that they were fey children or changelings. Others say that they were aliens. But let's talk about each one. So when we talk about malnutrition, there is something called hypochromic anemia, which is a generic term for the type of anemia which turns red blood cells paler, which then, because your red blood cells are paler, it would give your skin a different color because our skin is the color it is with melanin. But if you are of the lackluster melanin, such as myself, your red blood cells would make you look paler. That's why like a lot of people who have anemia, they look really weird because they're really pale. It's not just pale. It's like you kind of turn a different color, which is kind of greenish.
Okay.
So I think when you take this, and it's very interesting because this particular type of anemia has been at one point in 1554, a German physician named Johannes Lang basically called this condition the disease of the virgins.
Oh.
And the prescription to cure your anemia was to go have sex.
Okay.
So he would tell people you have to go copulate.
What? Orgasms are going to change the hue of your skin? Is that what's happening?
I mean, maybe. Pre-coital glow. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't understand. But he was like, this is literally like.
I know. I just think it's funny.
Right? They're like, you have to go have sex. But then what started happening is people were doing this to save the girl's life, but would still be pale.
They would just get pregnant.
Pale and pregnant. It's like the new 16 and pregnant or teen mom. Pale and pregnant. I have hypochromatic anemia, and my 16th century doctor told me to have sex, and now I'm pregnant. So hypochromatic anemia can be caused by a vitamin B6 deficiency or low iron intake. A lot of people become anemic, especially pregnant women do become anemic. I know that when my grandmother was pregnant with my mom, she had to get regular iron shots. And then my mom was anemic with me and got regular iron shots. But they said I had too much iron for a while. They were like, whatever she's doing.
Oh,
too much. I was like, my bad. But it can also be from like iron not absorbing into the bloodstream. It could also be from an infection or hookworms, just sound terrible, or other like anemic diseases or lead poisoning. But that was disproven in the fact that I wouldn't say it's disproven in the case of this story. I think that the kids were malnourished. They could have also had arsenic poisoning. And then particularly like we talked about the Flemish refugees, they actually were exposed to heavy metal poisoning. So that could have been an added into it. Now, there is always the fact that these children were of the fairy or fae origin, and they came from a twilight realm. Specifically, there is a connection to something called the Hollow Earth myth, which points back to the Green Children of Woolpit. And basically it is that these two children that they were fae and that they went into that cavern and came to the mortal realm, apparently. The other one is that this was very early alien contact and that they were two children of alien race that got left behind and that the boy was sick and that's what happened. And then that they could not go back because they didn't come back for them. Like I said, the girl grew up to live a normal life. Actually, she was considered rather, to quote Lisa Barlow from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, she was a good time girl.
Okay.
She was out there living her best good time life. So what do you think? And why beans?
You know, my thought was it's the malnutrition thing, because think of it from a medical point and think of jaundice, how your skin can turn yellow. So that was kind of what I think. And I think the bean thing, because, you know, who knows if it was a refugee situation or it was just some other situation where they're like traveling a lot or like always on the move or whatever. Beans are cheap and beans are easy to store and carry. So maybe that's just what they were having.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think they probably were abandoned or separated from their family. What do you think?
I mean, they were definitely separated from their family and then the family never came for them. But then also it could be that they were refugees and then their family was killed.
Right.
And they just like started walking with another group of refugees and then got lost.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which would make why when they were found that they were green is because they were extremely anemic because they had not been eating. They probably were eating I was thinking they were probably just eating like leaves and grass.
Yeah.
I think it was that. I think that these kids were really malnourished and that it was unfortunate that the young boy ended up dying. But hopefully the story ends. I mean, the girl ends. She might have been a good time girl, but she was at least, you know.
She had a full life.
She had a full life. And she got married. So
yeah.
In the 12th century, I'm pretty sure that's all women were expected of. So mission accomplished. And she lasted, we don't know her name, but she lived throughout history as the girl who was green. You know how they did the other Boleyn sister or the girl with the pearl earring, that kind of stuff? They should make a story. They should make a movie about her.
Oh my God, yeah. That'd be so fun.
I would watch it.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of brings us to the end of the Green Children of Woolpit. It's just really fascinating because it's this is one of these stories that I'd never heard of before and was just really fucking excited to hear.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up and we will see you back here on Sunday for another episode of Sunday Scaries. Toodles.
Bye.